a little further away?
No, this is perfect. This is perfect because I can see
Okay,
the screen.
all right. All right, so I'm going to repeat a couple things. Okay. So we're going to talk about plateaus today. You know, everybody can lose some weight. It's easy. If I ask anybody, can you lose 5 pounds? Oh, it's easy. Just eat less and exercise more, all right? But that only works a little while. And it's not permanent because you can lose a little weight and you're going to hit a plateau. Even if you go on the Thin for Fun program, you eventually are going to hit a plateau where you stop losing weight and you kind of get discouraged. Well, we're going to try to get you over that hump of the plateau and how to go. So we're going to start out by reviewing some of the things that are keeping us there. And the first one, of course, is sugar. We've talked a lot about sugar. I'm just going to remind you of a few things. So what happened? You know, when I was a kid, if you look back in the olden days before TV, the movies of the people, they were all thin like this. And because they were outside all day, they walked around, they ate things from the farmer's garden, and most of them lived on farms, as a matter of fact. And so after the war, people started buying foods, and we started getting rid of cigarettes. And so when we did that, the cigarette companies went out of business almost, so they bought the food companies. And what did they do? The same strategies that they used to trick people and addict people to smoking, they use for food. And how are they going to do that? We're going to make food really convenient, going to make it look good, make it taste good, and put things in it, spike it with things like fructose and sugar and salt, and make it really, really attractive for us, make it cheap, and pretty soon we start to really expect that. So the sugar addiction is worse than cocaine addiction, right? We've been brainwashed, actually. And so it's a $14 billion promotion. We see this all the time. This is an ad that we took in Mexico City, but it's the same in this country, any country you go to in the world. Santa Claus says you need more Coke. Well, my goodness, who can argue with Santa Claus, right? So how did they addict us? Well, for 60 years now, they've been putting this in all of our food, and we expect everything to be really sweet and salty. And so if we go back to organic food, let's say we go to the farmer's market and get all that stuff, say, yeah, it's kind of boring. But it's only boring for a little while. If you go over if you eat that kind of great food for a month or two, pretty soon your taste buds waking up, and you start tasting the real food again. It starts tasting good, and then you go back to the processed food and you say, oh, I can taste those chemicals now. So it's a matter of making a decision. We're going to get on off processed food onto natural food and just do it for a while, and all of a sudden we can get over this addiction. So our brains have been rewired, and you know that's hard to imagine, but they rewired our brains. So we can, at Thin for Fun, we're going to unwire your brains and get them. We can't just take something away. We have to take it away, but we have to add something good in its place. Get rid of something bad, add something good. We're going to rewire your brain to think properly and to taste properly. That's the key. So their poison is all in our processed food. We know that. Fructose, salt, and preservatives, okay? And how do they trick us? They sneak it into our processed food. And let's just look at the ingredients again. I'm trying to get people to look at the ingredients. On our Thin for Fun challenge that we had recently, the husband of one of our nurses wasn't in the challenge, but he was buying the wife for his wife. So he started looking at the ingredients and he saw, wow, look at this. Here's granola bars. That must be good, right? Well, no, look at that. The first ingredients after oats, sugar. And then there's honey, and then there's brown sugar syrup. I mean, this thing is full of sugar, and it's advertised as being very healthy, right? Everybody thinks it's healthy. What could be more healthy? Nature's Valley, crunchy granola bars, has oats and honey, it says at the bottom. Well, there's a lot of other things in it too. Let's look at enchilada sauce. I love enchilada sauce, okay? You know, whatever kind that my wife makes, it's really good, and paste picante sauce, whatever. Look at this. Tomato paste, cornstarch, number 2. That's the worst sugar of all. There it is. It's in the enchilada sauce. And you keep looking at all these different ingredients. Look at that. And the bottom again, more sugar and more salt. Look at that. Can you believe that? Let's look at Ritz crackers. Everybody likes crackers. I remember when I was a kid, I used to eat Ritz crackers. That's before they put all this stuff into it. Now you look at the ingredients. Enriched flour. We're going to talk about how horrible enriched flour is really in a minute. And look down there. It has soybean and canola oil. Those are vegetable oils, seed oils that are really bad for us. Those are lubricants. you're drinking a car lubricant, okay? And then sugar, and then high fructose corn syrup. Look at the stuff in here. This is just poison. Oh, granola, here's another one. Cereal, we love breakfast. How many people think breakfast is the most important meal of the day? A lot of people. Who said it's important? The Bible says, beware the drunkard, the sloth, and the princes that eat in the morning. That's what the Bible says. Who says breakfast is the most important? The cereal makers, that's who said it. They tricked us. Breakfast is not important. You should forget about breakfast. Breakfast is the worst meal of the day. So here's granola bar. They have convinced us that we should eat granola cereal. Look at that, it's got berries in it. It's got granola and berry, whole grain, fibers. All right, let's start looking at the ingredients. Whole grain oats, wheat, sugar, there it is. And well, you keep going down, palm oil, that's another horrible oil. That's another lubricant. And you look at all this stuff, and look at this, glucose syrup, glucose, sugar syrup. And then to go down further, here's all this stuff in there. Look, cornstarch, that's fructose. Man, they just keep adding this stuff, and there's some more at the bottom, sunflower, lectin. So this is poison. This food is the worst possible food you can eat, and it's for breakfast. Let's forget about breakfast, okay? Now, oh, here's olive oil. And we know how good olive oil is, and I promote that. Olive oil and avocado oil are the best oils, okay? They're the natural oils that have not been modified and made really horrible. So this look, olive oil, mayonnaise dressing. Well, is it really? Or are they tricking us again? So here's the ingredients. Water, olive oil, that's good. Canola oil, that's the biggest poison in the world. Canola oil, that is lubricant for your car. And that's how they first made it, by the way. These for those of you who haven't heard my lecture on vegetable oils and seed oils, they made them during the war because we didn't have oil, right? So they found out they could take vegetables, boil them at very high temperatures, very high pressure, take all of the ingredients out, and what was left is lubricant. That's all that's left, just lubricant. No good in it whatsoever. So we're drinking a lubricant that we should be using in our car. Then look at this. After whole eggs, modified cornstarch. There we are, fructose, number one. And after giving us fructose, they put sugar in it. Can you believe that? And look at all this other stuff, calcium, disodium, EDTA. What horrible stuff that is. So anyway, so this says olive oil, but it's not. So go get extra virgin olive oil and use that. Don't use this stuff. There's ways you can make your own dressing. So why would they do that? Why would they do that? Follow the money. It's all, unfortunately, you would think the big food companies want to give us nutrition, want to help us to live healthier lives. No, they just want to sell product. They'll do anything they can to get us to buy their products. So follow the money. That's where it's at. The food industry in the United States is $1.8 trillion. Do you know how much a trillion is? If you count $1 per second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, how long would you have to count to hit 1 trillion?
A long time.
I'll die before I finish.
Listen to this. You can figure it out. It's true. 31,000 years.
Oh,
So if you counted for 31,000 years, you'd hit 1 trillion.
I tell you, I was
That's how
gonna be
big it
dead
is.
then. Holy cow.
Okay, so that's a lot of money. So it should make us mad, right? It should make us like this with the food industry. White sugar is death. All right, so now, we already know this, that there's been a direct correlation between the amount of sugar they put in our food and how we've gained weight for men and women. It's a big problem. So we look at the sugar drinks, the soda, the fruit, and so on. So we also talked about why the sugar drinks, and I know most of you are off sugar drinks, which I'm very happy to hear, but just review it quickly. What happens is if we drink sugar drinks, this is what happens. The sugar level goes very up, very high, right? And there's the pancreas doing his job. Oh no, this is where he's eating an apple. That's good. Apple day keeps the doctor away. That's natural food that God gave us, right? And so the pancreas is very happy. He puts out a little insulin to burn up the sugar. The sugar doesn't go too high, too low. It stays normal. So this is great health. We're going to stay nice and thin this way. But what happens if we drink a sugary drink? It doesn't have to be digested. It's absorbed by the stomach, and within 5 minutes, it goes into our bloodstream. It peaks up really high. And the pancreas goes, whoa, what's happening? So it starts spitting out the insulin, okay? You got to get that down because that high level is very dangerous. So it starts spitting out the insulin. Wow, I got to work hard. Well, what happens? It goes way down, you lower it, and you start getting shaky, right? It goes into hypoglycemia, and it makes you hungry. It makes you shaky. And the only way to cure that is to start eating more. It makes you eat more. So all of a sudden, that's made you hungry. All day long, you're eating, trying to bring that sugar back up to normal, okay? Now, let's say you continue doing that, and so you decide, I'm going to have some more Coke, maybe several a day or several a week, and it goes up to high levels. And this doesn't happen to everybody, but Mr. Pancreas is going to keep on working hard. But he has a limit, you know, he has a limit to how much and look, he's getting sick. Look at his color turning green. He's getting kind of sick. And now he's running out of insulin. And so we have to get some help, like metformin or some other help to help us keep the sugar down. We have a lot of patients that way that are on metformin because of that reason. Now let's say you keep on eating junk food, drinking sugary drinks, and what happens? Mr. Pancreas is already sick, and he finally says, that's it, and he dies. And when he dies, that's for full-blown diabetes, and you're going to have to get on insulin to save your life, okay? So sugar, how much sugar is in our drink? Just review that. People say, oh, sweet tea's not too bad. Well, it sure is. How about juices? Now, would anybody go out and just take that much sugar and start eating it? No, very few people would do that. But they trick it because they put it in our drink. Look how much is in Coke. So natural juice, that must be good for us, right? Think juice is good for us? Wrong. What happens is juice is just as bad. I'm not talking about juice you make at home where you squeeze it. It's juice that's been processed, removed all the fiber, and they add sugar and fructose to the juice. And they flavor it with fructose. Can you believe that? So this, when you buy Tropicana or any of those kinds in the store, bad stuff for you. Okay, fructose is toxic. We talked about that. It's very toxic. I think we'll skip fructose other than just to say it's the main toxic ingredient they put into food. So be aware of it. Look for it. Avoid fructose. It goes by many names like corn syrup, corn sugar, cornstarch, all those kind of things. So look for those. Avoid them. It's the main chemistry that we have to be worried about. And this question, a lot of people get it wrong. What's going to kill you? Drinking a Coke a day or smoking a cigarette a day? I don't think either one's very good. But the answer is the Coke is far more dangerous. Coke has killed far more people in this world than cigarettes ever did. And people think it's good. So fructose has no health benefits for humans whatsoever. And it's just to addict us. So we're going to skip through this and we're going to go right on to another toxin that's going to help us get over that plateau, and that's processed flour. So this other silent killer. What is processed flour? Well, it's white rice, pasta, white bread, and it's in all kinds of things. Where do we find processed flour? Just about everything.
Everything.
We find everything. Well, why is it bad? Well, it's the main ingredient in processed food. They've taken out all the fibers. They've taken out all the good stuff. It has no nutritional value left. It's just white powder that turns to sugar. And we know what sugar does. So it's just like eating sugar. So we teach everybody. I used to teach my kids this. They still say this today. Say it with me. The whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. The whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. You can say that about every white pasta stuff. Caveman did not eat white bread. He did not eat pasta, okay? So here's what happens. So natural grain, the kind that comes from nature, is a good grain. It has a cover that has vitamin E in it. It has a lot of proteins. It has fibers of all kinds, really helpful for us. So, but what they do is they grind it and take out all the good stuff, and they just leave this white thing left behind, which is just starch. Starch equals sugar. When you eat starch, it turns immediately into sugar, and then it does all the things that sugar do it to us. So here's the difference between whole grain bread and white bread. And when we're talking about breads, it's hard to find good bread, actually, because a lot of them will say it's made of whole grain, but it has to say 100% If it doesn't say 100%, it's not. It's a trick again. So remember, the whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. But that goes for not only bread, but you have to look for all these deceptive words. Have you ever seen something that says enriched? Why is it enriched? Why does it have to be enriched? Well, because they took everything out of it. So what they do in its place, take all the good stuff out, they throw in a little vitamin and call it enriched. You don't need that little vitamin. They put a little tiny bit of vitamin so they can call it enriched. And they all call it unbleached, or they call it bleached. That's the other thing. And when you hear those things on it, that means don't eat it. That's what they're very deceptive, okay? So it's found in white rice, pasta, white bread, all those things. So you can replace that pasta, white bread, with 100% whole wheat, brown rice, and whole wheat pasta. I went over the other day looking for some whole wheat pasta so Monica can make me some good stuff made out of it. You know, it takes a little longer for the rice to get it cooked. It takes a little longer. It tastes a little different, but it's good for you. So 100% whole wheat, brown rice, whole wheat, and get rid of the white flour, okay? The other thing that they put in is the processed food. Well, we'll end with this today, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the processed food other than this chart. And don't let your eyes get crossed. This chart is too big to even imagine, but I'm going to talk you through a little bit about it. What this chart is a popular infant formula. It's called Enfamil. It's the most popular one out there. They sell $54 billion worth of this per year. They feed them to little babies, okay? Let's look at some of the ingredients. It starts out with non-fat milk. I don't know why they would do that. When I was a kid, if we couldn't breastfeed, we drank evaporated milk, which is good milk, or goat's milk, or whatever. No, non-fat milk. Then the next thing is sunflower oil. Again, that's lubricant for your car. They put that in soy oil and coconut oil. These three oils they put in there. These little babies are drinking a car lubricant, like the oils for your car. And so you go down all these things that they put in there. There's 49 ingredients. Look at this one. Copper sulfate. Well, if your drain has ever got plugged, you go to Home Depot, guess what you get to unplug your drain? Copper sulfate, because it dissolves the roots in your drain. It kills snails, okay? And so that's what they're putting in. It's a use for your drain. The next one is magnesium or manganese sulfate. That's a fertilizer. Well, that's fine. Put that in the baby food. Why not? This one is disodium uridane monophosphate. The only reason is that's like a drug. That's like Prozac. It releases dopamine in your brain, so it makes the kid addicted to this stuff, okay? How about this one? Potassium hydroxide. That's what we use to make soap with, and varnish remover. So we're going to drink some varnish remover. That's good for a baby, right? And how about sodium selenate? That's an insecticide. Well, that'd be good. Just feed the baby some insecticides, okay? They get away with this stuff because why? Because of GRAS, G-R-A-S. GRAS is generally regarded as safe. That's what the FDA says. And there are over 3,000 products that the FDA says is GRAS safe, generally regarded as safe. Well, maybe it won't kill you immediately, but you know, have they ever tested these things? No. If you look, this is true. The only reason they give approval for these chemicals is because the company that makes them just has to send a letter to the FDA and say, this is safe for humans. So if I'm Monsanto or another drug chemical company, I send a letter and I say, it's safe to put sodium selenate in this. Put some insecticide, it's not going to kill you. And so they okay it. So all these things have been okayed. They've been banned in Europe for the most part. All these 49 chemicals would not be allowed in Europe. But our babies are drinking this. See, we start babies at a very early age to be addicted and rewire their brains when they're little babies. So let's get over that. Let's overcome our addictions, okay? Here's how we do it. Quick, easy steps. Recognize the food industry as your enemy. I know the poison, fructose, sugar, and salt, and those preservatives are bad, and I will make a decision. I'm going to avoid the sugar and fructose whenever possible. I know you can't always do it, but try. You can cut it way, way down. And so I'm going to avoid sugar and fructose. Know that they're telling you the three lies: delicious, cheap, and healthy. It may be cheap. It may be delicious, but it's not healthy. and I won't let them fool me. So we're gonna replace these things with good things. There's a lot of good things out there we can eat. So we're gonna talk about all the good things we can eat later on. And just remember, caveman was not addicted by the food industry. So let's not be addicted either. So I hope this helps you today, and God bless you. Have a great day.